I became the individual who dished out pain to someone who didn't deserve it.
I was there. I was there when my grandson confessed. And it was terrible.
Hey there, glad to see you back on my channel. What do you think about when you hear troubled teen? A horrorcore fan with dark clothes and a Brody face writing violent lyrics on their bedroom walls? Or perhaps a very quiet lone wolf staring at their classmates for hours on end? Well, both of these descriptions are nothing in comparison to the real troubled teens. In 1993, Eric Smith was a lonely boy, riding his bike on his own through the quiet village of Savona, New York. He had a tough time at school and had no friends apart from his family. He felt angry, mistreated, and misunderstood. So one day he was riding his bike when he saw a 4-year-old boy with golden hair and an intoxicating smile. Derek Robbie. Filled with the worst thoughts and feelings, Eric killed Derek. Every detail of this story is messed up, and with the very recent twist, the Eric Smith case becomes a fascinating but horrifying one. Our story begins in Savona. It's a town of 900 people in Steuben County, New York. As you can imagine, Savona is just one big community. Everyone is part of this family and everyone knows everyone. Or they think they do. On January 22nd, 1980, Eric was born to the Smith family. He was raised by his parents, Ted and Tammy, and his grandparents, Red and Eddie Wilson. Eric was incredibly close to them.
Grandpa!
Yeah.
Red and Eddie were loving grandparents, and Eric knew this, but there was a big problem. He was being severely bullied at school. Sadly, his physical appearance earned him a lot of undesired attention, and there would be many moments when Eric just wanted to run away from school and hide from the rest of the world.
We never wanted to ride the bus home because who's the next person going to mess with him? What are they going to do today? The one day that I do remember is one of the older kids took his book bag and just dumped all of his books and everything out of it, and then yelled at him and told him to pick it up.
He was too afraid to stand up for himself against all the bullies, and he had no friends to defend him. The Smiths lived across the street from the Robbie family, Dale and Doreen and their 2 sons, 2-year-old Dalton and 4-year-old Derek.
Derek had been teased about his appearance. Derek, on the other hand, was this picture-perfect, cute, happy, athletic child.
Derek loved riding his bike, collecting hickory nuts, and reading to his baby brother. In August 1993, he was just getting excited about starting kindergarten, but that was never going to happen. On August 2nd, 1993, 13-year-old Eric was riding his bike through the quiet streets of Savona. He had just been told to leave by a teacher at summer camp, as he was behaving badly the whole morning.
Unfortunately, at 13, I viewed life in a very dark manner. I couldn't carry the pain and anguish that I felt anymore. I rode my bike around and I seen Derek. I can take my anger out on him.
Eric behaved the exact same way his horrible bullies would at school, but he wasn't thinking anymore at this point. Between 9 and 10 a.m., Eric biked past Derek, who was walking to the summer camp Eric was just returning from. It was a short walk to the local park, and Derek had done it numerous times. His mom would usually watch him walk to the end of the long straight street, almost all the way to the park. But by this time, baby Dalton was fussing, and she was tending to him. Eric stopped his bike and lured Derek into the woods, promising to show him a shortcut to the park. Remember, Savona's a tiny village where everyone feels safe and leaves their doors unlocked and their children free to play in the streets.
I got him by himself and I strangled him I hit him over the head with a rock numerous times and poured Kool-Aid on him. And I became the bully that I hated in school. I became the individual who dished out pain to someone who didn't deserve it.
Eric beat little Derek to death and left his battered body in the woods. At 11 a.m., Doreen showed up at the summer camp to collect her son. But to her shock, the camp supervisor said Derek never came to camp. 4 minutes later, Derek was reported missing. Savona police officers gathered around the Robbie house quickly, getting ready for almost anything. However, they truly didn't know what to expect. Had Derek been kidnapped? Was he the victim of a horrific attack? And who would do such a thing? This was a quiet, peaceful town where nothing bad ever happened. The police were grasping at straws when they were questioning neighbors they had trusted all this time. While some officers were asking any questions they could think of, others were looking through the woods. By 3 p.m., they found Derek's body.
Neighbors watched in disbelief as their quiet street was turned into a crime scene. Derek Roby was to death.
Autopsy reports show he died from blows to the head. State and local investigators have no suspects.
Savona residents were barely coping with the news. How could anyone do such a thing to a young, innocent boy who had never hurt a fly?
Wow, it's a terrible murder like this. Everyone was saying, let's go find the drifter, whoever this adult is.
Yeah, no one was suspecting a 13-year-old freckled boy with glasses.
When this terrible thing was done, I think everybody, including myself, thought it was an adult.
But as days were passing, Eric was feeling the pressure of what he had done. 4 days after killing Derek, Eric walked into the local police station and offered to help investigators with the case. He wanted to confess, but wasn't ready just yet.
Smith said that he had seen Derek that day with a white t-shirt on, holding a lunch bag.
But it was clear Eric wanted to say more than he was saying. The officers let him go for the time being. After all, they couldn't just arrest a 13-year-old on a hunch. They were going to him and his family with more questions as the investigation progressed. However, they wouldn't have to. The people of Savona met up for Derek's funeral. It was a terrible sight. A tiny coffin, reminding everyone just how short Derek's life had been cut, and in such a brutal way. Eric was there and he saw everyone crying. He couldn't hold the guilt anymore. 2 days after the funeral, he confessed as he sat next to his grandpa.
I was there. I was there when my grandson confessed. And it was terrible.
Eric was arrested and charged with the second-degree murder of Derek Robbie. But it was a long way to go before people could come to terms with what had happened. How could a 13-year-old boy brutally end the life of a kindergarten-age boy?
The only thing more shocking than the crime was the identity of the killer.
Are you scared what might happen?
A freckle-faced redhead named Eric Smith.
Eric's trial brought the worst feelings for Derek's family, as they had to sit and listen to the horrific details of their son's murder. The prosecutor described how Eric had Derek with a stick, and how he poured Kool-Aid into the cuts on his head. And the biggest question no one could answer was why.
Those are his words. I poured it into the cuts. I said, what forever did you do that for? I don't know, I just did.
A few years ago, it turns out, Eric had strangled a cat to death. Today, we know animal cruelty is absolutely unforgivable and a sign that something is very wrong with the attacker. Perhaps it was 1990, or perhaps Eric's family turned a blind eye to it, but his behavior was never truly addressed. The only thing his family worried about was his constant bullying. According to his defense attorney, bullying is what led to his uncontrollable anger.
Eric Smith suffers from a mental disease that can be characterized as a rage disorder.
Eric's defense team argued that at the time of the murder, Eric couldn't tell wrong from right. He suffered from intermittent explosive disorder, and he had an uncontrollable fit of rage and anger that day. Eric had confessed to letting out his anger and wanting to hurt Derek, but he never said he wanted to kill him.
I don't think it was premeditated. I think it was chance. Eric wanted to experience what it felt like to be in control.
The defense attorney also pointed out to the fact that Eric had also been beaten at home, not just at school.
Do you recall spanking with any implements?
My hand.
Did you ever use a belt or a paddle?
Probably once or twice, a belt.
Furthermore, Eric's mom Tammy had used Tridione, a very strong anti-epileptic medication, throughout her pregnancy with Eric.
It is by far and away the most toxic drug for a pregnant woman to be on.
Women taking Tridione during pregnancy can give birth to children with severe mental retardation and severe physical malformations, such as low-set folder ears. Perhaps you've noticed already that Eric has those. This worked as a closing argument, meant to show Eric as a victim of terrible circumstances. The prosecution, on the other hand, said his emotions of anger and jealousy towards Derek were not extreme. His conduct was.
So you find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree?
Yes.
He was given the maximum sentence for his age, 9 years to life in prison. This was a minute of punishment in the eyes of Derek's family.
When Eric Smith was sentenced, was there a sense, now we can get on with our lives?
You hear the 9 years to life. And I think back then, everybody was focusing on the life side of it.
Derek's family was hoping Eric would spend the rest of his life behind bars. The very idea that he could be out on the street again gave them a knot in their stomach. Eric started applying for parole in 2002 and did so every 2 years, getting rejected every single time until October 2021. Not only did Dale and Doreen have to attend every parole hearing and relive the horror of losing their son, now their worst fear had come true. But for Eric, this was an opportunity to show the world he's not the angry, troubled kid he once was.
I'm not the same person. There's not a day that goes by in some way, shape, or form that I'm like forced to remember what I did. I'm automatically thinking I killed Derek and the pain that I caused Dale and Doreen.
On February 1st, 2002, after spending 28 years in state prison, Eric walked out and moved to Queens, New York. He's hoping to spend the rest of his life speaking out against bullying and counseling bullied children to stand up for themselves and not let their attackers turn them into something they would regret.
I want to, get married, raise a family, hold down, a job, pursue the American dream.
It's a brand new life and a second chance for Eric Smith. But will the Robbie family ever be able to move on? Thanks for watching, you guys. Hey, don't be shy, hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next time, and stay safe. It's a strange world out there.